Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode, God knows what episode this is, even at this point. 233 of the Orange Pill Investor. Friday is roll day, but I'm also going to be talking a little bit about how to take profits. And this doesn't apply to just a hands hodler that's has is just trading in a cash account, and there's no margin risk. You're not leveraged. Then you can just DCA into it. You can just lump sum into it, and you can go to sleep and wake up in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Um, Not talking to you, but if a person is leveraged, um, I probably have so this says that I have $80,000 worth of buying power, but that's kind of like a fake news, fake stat. And the reality is that I actually have probably close to six figures of margin borrowed here. So if you're going to lever up, there has to be a point when you de-lever. Otherwise, you get wrecked when everything comes crashing down. So yesterday, I jumped in and I sold half of my short dated long calls. I didn't touch any of my leaps, only my short dated calls. And I never really expected to hold these to expiration. It's possible that MicroStrategy could go in the money before February, but since I don't really even hold long calls under 90 days, if I can help it, I would have to have this three. I would have to have a 380 move by November. I'm sorry, December, right? 3 months from February is January, December. No, November. Yeah, by November 21st, I would need to be in the money. And while that's possible, it there's no reason for me to, in my opinion, turn my nose up at some gains, just crossing my fingers and hoping that happens. Because what happens after October? Does it turn into down November? Um, and then I'm right back to trying to DCA this position again. Who knows? Any type of black swan could happen. And I mentioned this penny stock trader who started dabbling in crypto trades, named Quick Fingers Luke. And he actually said that even if you just break even on a trade, you just pat yourself on the back and call that a win. Because, well, I think for a couple of reasons. They've shown that a lot of people who sign up for Robinhood just completely blow up their accounts within a few months. So they just give it all the way to the casino. But let's, for example, say that you were getting FOMO here, and you were like, oh my God, MicroStrategy is going to 5,000. This is pre-split, but so like 500 now. And you bought it at 180, 160. What is this, 160? And then you're like, ah, crap, it sold. And then you're like, oh yeah, it's really happening. And then you held down to here. So you bought it like 160, and now it's at 100. If you can claw your way back to here and just, whoa, okay, I sold and broke even. Just pat yourself on the back, because at least you didn't lose money. At least you didn't panic sell here and and just lose money. So, he would talk about selling a percent here, percent here, percent here, percent here, percent here. Then you've got some limit sells up here that never fire. And then once the price retreated, he'd have some, he'd buy a little here, buy a little more, buy a little more, buy a little more. So his DCAs would get bigger on the way down. And then he'd have like some DCA buys down here that would never fire, some limit purchase orders. And so there's a couple of things at play here for me, and you'll have to judge your own account. You know, if you've just got one of these long calls, not one of those, one of these. If you've just got one and your trade price is like 300 and now you can double up, that's an amazing trade. You held it for a couple of months and you doubled your money. But will you be more or less unhappy because it goes to 200 and you could have tripled, or it goes to 300 and you could have 10 extra money or something? Or is the will the pain of being too scared to pull the trigger and then the price drops back down to $3, $3 a contract again, will that demoralize you more? What do you there's there's always some kind of emotional trauma that has to be planned for. So just be honest with yourself. Are you the type that's going to be more pissed off because you missed out on it going higher? Or are you going to be more pissed off because you should have taken some profits when it goes lower again and now you don't have dry powder to DCA back in lower? Um, for me, prior to 11.6, I learned very painfully on the most recent uh, MicroStrategy earnings back in, was it August, that Tasty Trade will change their margin algorithm. So 3 days prior to 11.6, I will wake up and like 75% of my buying power will be gone. So I have to take profits now for sure. And other folks may not be in that situation, but I think it's fairly reasonable to just, you know, take a little sliver. And then if it goes up again, take a little sliver and take a little sliver. But you can keep the majority of your position and at least take some profits, but then also not miss out on the God candles or whatever. And but let's just take a look. I'm going to skip forward to my 5K account real quick. So I was even DCAing into these MicroStrategy calls. So I've got 6 of these February ones. And my average cost is $3 per contract, which is options is times 100. And unfortunately, I got shit to do, so I can't just stare at this screen all day. Um, and I had planned to roll this, and I was probably going to make like sell these for 6, and now of course the price is pumping. And there's a weird thing that sometimes when a stock price goes significantly over, like a whole number, like 170, a lot of times it'll just get to 180 and then pull back. So it's possible that I could just stare at the screen, and if it gets to 178 or something, I could squeeze a few more pennies out of here. But it just so happened I kind of got lucky that this is even appreciating while I'm running my gums, flapping my gums. But since I can double my money on these, that means I can sell half of them and I get all my money back that I shelled out in the first place. And I still have 3 contracts that are basically for free and I can watch upside climb. So I will probably do something like that in this account. And hell, I might as well just do it now, right? So I'm going to sell 3 of these. And I'm just going to let I'm just going to let the mid price go. See if we get a fill. Probably not. I'll probably have to walk this down a little bit because the bid ask spread, I know this split was supposed to give MicroStrategy all this extra liquidity, but it has not materialized into a tighter bid ask spread. You can see the bid ask spread here, 665 to 705. That's That's not it's not great. It's not terrible. There's still tons of open interest and all of that jazz, volume and open interest. Uh, but the point is, I uh, I shelled out $1,800 for 6 of these, and now I just sold 3 of them for $1,800. Well, for 20 grand or 20 grand, for 2 grand, and now, I pocketed $200, and I can just let these other 3 contracts ride through the rest of October, and I'm playing with house money. And I would also say no one is ever going to catch the tippy top, so don't really concern yourself with doing that. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, don't try to time the market, you'll get wrecked." You don't have you don't have to time this shit perfectly to just book some profits and pat yourself on the back. Like, even in this small account, I'm trading on margin. See, this is saying that I have 8,000 in buying power, but the way that Tasty Trade calculates is completely full of shit. It does say that I only am using $500 worth of margin here, and I think I'm pretty comfortable with that number. I'm not going to add much of a position here. I think this is the perfect opportunity for me to delever and trade a little bit more responsibly, irresponsibly, or less irresponsibly. I don't know what the right word is, but let's just say, okay, let me go in here. Let me go back in here. Let's just say I was doing the opposite and I wanted to add positions. See, this is the real buying power. So when you're in Robinhood and you're looking, if you're in margin and you're looking at that, it's like, oh, I've got 8,000 buying power. That's some made up shit. Maybe that applies to the shares. So let me just see what would it look like if I was trying to buy shares. Yeah. So they're giving you a different margin rate for buying MicroStrategy shares versus buying the options. So, but even this is still not 8 grand. So don't be fooled thinking you have, if you're trading in margin on Robinhood, whatever it says that you have on your investing page is uh is just not accurate. It's saying that I have 8 grand in buying power, but then when you actually go and try to buy something, it probably kicks in for different stocks are going to have different margin rates as well. Yeah, see, if I want to buy CLSK, I now have got 7,600 in buying power. So you really got to go to the purchase screen to even figure this out. Anyway, I hope that gives a little bit of insight on how I think about taking profits. And in general, you should not even be making this emotional decision while you're watching the price pump. When you get into a trade, you should already have it set in your mind. Okay, I think, you should go to options profit calculator and figure out what the price of this option would be at 175, 200, 250, and then plan accordingly and say, okay, I want to double up on this. So I'll, if I'm going to buy 10 of these for, 2 grand, 3 grand, uh, I'll sell one at 600 a contract. I'll double up on one, and then I'll sell 2 of them at 450, and then I'll sell 2 more if they go to, $6 a contract. You should always kind of just be guessing and making a plan ahead of time, because it's too hard if you're new. If it's too hard to make these decisions in the moment. And like, holy shit, I think, what is it? Is it up another $30? Sorry, the contract, not the price of MSTR. Just in the last 5 minutes. So this could be going all over the place for the rest of the day. Fridays are expiration days. There can be all kinds of shenanigans in the market. There could be people out here trying to short it to force MSTR down so that they're, uh, And some of these hedge funds and short sellers, they put out, news to screw over, and you're like, oh, it's going to the moon, and then some, bullshit rumor comes out about something, and then the price crashes and you missed out on some profits. So this I'm totally fine with this. I sold this one for 675. Holy shit! If I waited 5 minutes, I could have gotten seven. That it's completely fine. I'm still going to be watching these three contracts, and I am slap happy to be in a position where I have delevered and I have hardly any margin in use. If MicroStrategy crashes back down to 150 or 125 again, I feel good about that because now I'll have buying power. I can get right back in, and I'm still long some positions. So if it never hits 125 again, if it never goes below 150 again, and it's just number go up forever, I still have these long positions, and I can sleep good at night knowing that I have hardly any margin risk. All right. So that was the long way of really getting towards uh, Friday as roll day. But some people were posting like, "Holy crap, I don't know what to do. I've never I've never actually made money before." Like they were buying long calls for the first time, and we're just kind of like, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. What do I do here?" And so I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. So these long call, covered calls that I sold at 145 strike are completely wrecked. So let's see how much this cost me in order to close all 19 of these positions. Let's see if I can get close to the mid price here. I'll probably have to pay a little more, but yeah. So now I have jack shit for buying power. And even if I sell at the money for next week, or close to it, I can put 13 grand of buying power back in. But that's not going to work. I'm going to have to definitely peel off some more long positions in order to make sure that my buying power stays probably closer to 75 grand. And so let's see what happens if I close 20 more of these. $14,000. Let's do that. And I said selling the covered calls, I can put another 13 grand on here. So that gets me to 59. So I will need to plan ahead as well, because if I am going to set some covered calls here, I need to keep at least 1100. Well, my plan was to keep at least 1100 delta long for every 100 delta that I leave covered. And 335 and 780 is, yeah, that's actually just over 1100. That's almost perfect. So if I sell at the money covered calls here again, then I have the 1100 uncovered that I need here. Let's deal with Tesla though. So Tesla is also, see, I was hoping I could work MicroStrategy and Tesla as a trading pair. And let me just roll out to, let's just close it. I'm going to close this at the money covered call. So I took it in the shorts on this one as well. I think I sold it for like 500 and I had to buy back for 1500. But let's see if I go out to close to 45 days. What can I get here? What did I just bought it back for 15. So let's see if I can break even on this. What kind of call away value can I get for 15? I can go right, nice round 275 here and collect 1600. Okay, I like that. And I could, instead of selling at the money MicroStrategy, I could go out to 42 days. And what did I have to just pay on my MicroStrategies? Whew. I just paid 3 grand a pop. So even if I go out to, let's see, 20% call away would be 17 and 17, so about 34. So I'd have to go to about 210. And I can only, I don't want to say only collect 1300 here. But if I collect a quarter of this per week, let's just say a quarter of 1200, so 300 a week versus collecting, like 700 a week at the money and no no upside, no call away value. I think I may just go ahead and since I've got the uncovered long calls, I've got these three that are already out to 170. So these are in the money as well. This is wild. All right, so I have 1900 shares left to decide what to do. And that's only going to put 13 grand back into my pocket. That'll give me about 60 in buying power. So really, I would need to peel off another 10 of these, but that's going to cut my uncovered um, delta down by 160. So I'm not liking that. I might actually have to sell. No. The point was not to really. What the point was to sell these while it's up. So let's sell 10 more. And that gives me, see, 840, 940. All right, so I think I'm going to. I guess I'm just going to keep doubling down on these at the money covered calls until I actually, get some right. Um, I've already sold 3. I've got 19 left. Let's let's kind of split it up. Let's do half at the money and half out to 45 days. And I've already got 3 out here. So if I do 11 and 11, and I've already got 3, that means I need to do 8 more. I'll do 11 at the money. And I'll do 8 more out to 45 days. We'll go to 2. We'll go to 200. That's a nice whole number. A lot of times resistance will just bounce off of something like that. That's the most non-technical technical analysis I'm willing to even participate in. Okay, I like this. I got 78 in buying power. I would really love that to be closer to 100, but as I get closer to this 11, 3 Tasty Trade algorithm earnings magic that they're going to do, black magic, maybe I will have to peel off a few more contracts and delever some more. But let's just double check this. I got 2,200 shares. I've got okay. Did I fuggle this up? I did. I sold 11 of my 22. I did not mean to sell 11 42 days. Okay. I just sold 3 naked calls. Uh and that's why we double check. All right, so I got to close 3 of these. All right, that's going to reduce my buying power by 4 grand, 4 or 5 grand. That's fine. All right. I've got 2,200 shares. That lets me sell 22 covered calls. I have 11 weekly, basically at the money covered calls, very close to at the money. And I've got 3 that I had already done. And that means I can do 8 more out of the money and not weekly. So 11, 3, and 8 is 22. I'm good to go here. I've got, what is that? 850, 950 in long uncovered. This is completely uncapped, infinite potential here. And I was okay with 50 per 100. This is a little bit short of that. 50 per 100 when I was selling at the monies. But now that I'm baking some call away value in here, I'm probably comfortable with this. This is just eyeballing. This is all back of the napkin math. It's nothing scientific about what I'm doing here. So don't take any of this as gospel, and it's never financial advice anyway. But that account is done diddy done. All right, the IRA, this one. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. I've got 3 at the money covered calls that I have to pay through the nose for. And I've got 3 of these leaps. And I'm up big time on the leaps. I'm up like basically 3 grand here. But I'm upside down about 2,400 here because I got paid 5. So let's see if I close one of these. Default quantity. What kind of breathing room will that give me to close these other ones? All right, 7 grand. That is probably going to work out perfectly because now I can close these other two positions. Walk this up, pay a little bit more. Okay, fills. All right, now these are 21 days to expiration. In general, I like to sell these at 45 and then roll them out after 2 or 3 weeks. So if you 3 weeks from 45 is going to be 21 days. That's going to let you, you're going to roll these with 24 days left. So this is definitely ripe to be rolled. And you can see they're in the money. So let's see if I roll the expirations out to 42 days to expiration. I can roll them out for a bit of a debit. I won't be able to pay for both of these just yet. So I might have to work some more magic in here first before I do that. I may actually have to go ahead and sell my covered calls and get some more buying power. I also have these two long calls. I'm sorry, these are the leaps that I'm using to sell covered calls against. So I can actually place those trades. I can actually sell my two covered calls and get that buying power in my account. Let's clear this. All right, I'm gonna go out to 42 days. Sell. How many do I have? Two or three? Two. Let's bake about 20% call away value in here. That's going to be about $35 of call away value. Let's do two of them. All right. Now I have 4 grand in buying power. That might let me roll these three. So let's roll expirations to 42 days. Let's see if I can roll these out to 210 as well. 3 of them. Whoops, yeah, 3 of them. All right, probably have to pay a little bit more. Okay. Let's take measurement here. I have 300 shares. That means I can sell 3 covered calls. I have 2 leaps. I can sell 2 more covered calls. So that's 5. I have 5 covered calls. I've got about 20% call away value built in at 42 days to expiration. So the question is, should I take some profits here with any of these 5 long calls? I can make about 50% on these. I'm thinking I'll close one of the 5. And I kind of like using long calls and shares as a kind of a trading pair. When the price is up, I want to sell long calls. And when the price is down, I want to dollar cost average into long calls. So when the price is up, even though that seems like the worst time to buy MicroStrategy, it's the best time to sell the calls so I can at least just add more shares. Now, the other thing that I could do is go in and buy some of the mining stocks. I could buy like 4 grand worth of miners and sell covered calls in those. But I'm thinking if I just go ahead and buy, what can I get? 20? 25? No, 22. Yep, I can get 22 shares. All right. So I used my leverage to take 50% profits, and then I bought shares, even though the price of MicroStrategy is up, it's up less in relationship to these leveraged positions. So I'm liking this. I'm happy with it. I got 300 shares, 2 leaps, 5 covered calls, and I'm still long 4 leaps here. I like that. All right, the joint account, I got all kinds of strategies in here that I was just doing for demonstration purposes. I still got this CLSK debit call spread. This is bullish. I bought it for 30, I think, and I'm trying to sell it for 60. So I'm trying to double my money on this, but it's currently, CLSK is still down from when I initially bought it. So right now it's only worth about half of what I paid for it in the first place. So do need CLSK to pump massively for this to do anything, but I still got 175 days left on it. So no urgency whatsoever. Can just wait for this to fire or be a complete loser and I'll lose my $100 or whatever the hell it was. Sorry, actually, with a debit spread, you can only lose what you paid. So I paid 30. So the most I can even lose on this should be $30. All right, MicroStrategy. I have 100 shares in this account, and I had sold the one. Holy shit! I had sold the 135 strike out to 45 days. So let's see, what do I want to do here? Plus, I was loading up on I'm not leaps, but long calls. I probably need to peel off a bunch of these. Yeah, I'm totally lopsided here. If I only need 50 uncovered delta for one covered call, I've got 250 uncovered delta. So I'm just going to sell like 2/3 of these. Let's sell like 10 of these. This is also a margin account. It's a smaller account, so it's actually, you can see Tasty Trade gives preferential treatment once you get over a certain dollar amount. So in this account, in the main account, my option buying power and my stock buying power are actually identical. But in this joint account, since I have such a small amount, the option buying power is half of the stock buying power. So that can be an advantage to, maybe I should split this account up into 2 pieces and I could get that same leverage on both. But anyway, let's sell 10 of these, get some buying power back, and now let's reappraise the situation. If I do roll this covered call, I will have 100 delta covered, and I've got these 5 calls. That's already 85. So, and plus another 50 with this one and another 40 here. I could probably just dump all of these long calls now that I think about it. Basically double my money. Yeah, I'm going to dump them all. Again, people trading cash accounts may not have this same sense of urgency. You can just let your profits run potentially. But me being levered up here, I have to, and plus I'm gonna have to pay to roll this damn thing. So let's roll this out to close to 45 days. I'm gonna have to pay through the nose for this. Let's go 210 again. All right, that cost me 2 grand to roll. That's fine. Got 100 shares. Got a covered call. I have 2 leaps. Actually, this one's still not technically a leap. This is under 360 days. But April 17th, should be able to get all the pump through the beginning of the year. And so I'm, even though I can triple my money on this one, I'm not particularly in a rush. Um, I need to shit or get off the pot 3 months prior to this when this has 90 days to expiration. So can totally see if this appreciates all through the rest of the year and deal with this in January/February. Uh, yeah, April's the 4th month, so January probably. But it's a 220 call because that was the highest strike available, I believe. And this could be an interesting decision in January if MicroStrategy is like 250 or 300. Do I just exercise these or let it run all the way to expiration and wait to exercise later? I'm on call, so that's a bad sound. I don't know if you can hear that. Um, I'm liking this. I'm like way long on this one, even though this is covered. I have 90 delta uncovered still here. I'm almost tempted to sell a put. Uh, Hilarious. All right, so let's see if I sell like a close to at the money put here. We'll sell a 170. That's gonna cost me 12 grand in buying. But nah, that's not. Yeah, I'm trying to delever this, not the. I can't help myself. I really need to get the option selling addiction under control. So I think this is good to go. 100 shares, if this was not on margin, 100 shares should cost me what? 17.6. Hmm. And another 6 grand here, 23. So I don't even think I'm using any margin in this account. Am I? Here, let me slide this off screen for a second. Let me check something. Forget, how do I check my huh. I guess I'm not even. If I click on my balance, I can look and see. Yeah, so my main account, I still have 6 figures in margin, but in this account, I'm not using any margin whatsoever. I've got like 4 grand in actual buying power. All right, so I had to do it off screen just to protect, you know, my account numbers and actual value here. But let's see. You know what I could do? I could go out and do a short put and go out of the money. I haven't really done much of these. But in this case, I would be selling way out of the money at like 145, or I could even do 150. How much would that decrease my buying power? 5 grand. I like that better. Oh, damn it. Yeah. That's still reducing my buying power by 10 grand. It's probably all right. Let's do that. Okay, cool. This gives me the opportunity to get a discount on MicroStrategy if it does retreat and goes back to 150, 42 days from now. I'm not entering into, buying, loading up on MicroStrategy at 176. And then if the price keeps going up, then, I just buy this back for cheap later. And I can even, T-Story's got a nice little quick button here, close for 50% profit and good till closed. So review and send. And if that ever fires, then I will buy this back for half price. All right, that's good to go for my Tasty Trade accounts. I'm glad to report that my 5K account is finally doing some good things again. And this is to be expected. So I'm trying to turn this 5K account into 25K. And I chose 25K because it's the minimum amount that you need to be considered allowed to do day trading. You qualify for day trade rules. Not necessarily saying that I'm a day trader or that anyone should be a day trader, but this is kind of the power of the strategy. Like, even though within a couple of weeks of starting this, I was down like 40%, I just keep chipping away, keep collecting premiums, keep using that premium to add long positions. And then as the market recovers, now my account's, up big time. And then, of course, it crashed down below 5K again. And now the market's recovering and I'm back up to speed. So the only one that I really need to deal with today, this one's expiring 9/27. So I'll buy it back. I only got paid 14, but I have to buy it back for 30. And might have to pay 32. All right, let's get this over with. Okay, they're really gonna put the screws to me and make me pay 33. Okay, there we go. Insta-fill. Going out to next week, if I try to bake 10% call away value in here, I need to get to like 1150. So let's collect close to 2% for next week, plus 10% call away value. Cha-ching. How many days to expiration is this? So I got what, 3 days to the end of the month. So this is 21 days. So I probably need to roll these out. Oh, I have one contract. Can I get a mid-price fill on anything? Does not appear that way. All right, I'm just gonna go at the asking price. Got shit to do. All right, I got 6 of these that I need to close. And then I'll go back out to 42 days on these, and I need to do one more CLSK. Now that these are reasonable again, I could. Now, Riot's still too cheap. Being under $10 a share, like this far under $10 a share, it's kind of hard to get premium. So let's figure, let's do, yeah, like $10 strikes. Anything around like, 0.3 delta is usually pretty reasonable. I could go 9.5, could go 10. But if I collect 25% of this per week, that's $10. So that's a little over 1%. So I like that. Let's do all 6 of them. And let's try to sell for 0.4. Maybe I can get fills and not have to sit here all fucking day. 5 of them, 6 of them. Okay, thank you. CLSK, I got one more. So I'm running basically 2 strategies on CLSK. I'm doing the weeklies. Sold the 11.5. I'll do another one out to 42 days to expiration. Oops. Again, just ballparking it. If you get out here anywhere, like 80% chance of profit. I don't know what the hell is up with this. This must be really shit liquidity. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. All right, so this $12, no volume, no open interest. This may not work out if liquidity is just god awful. Bid ask spread 1 to 124. That's not the worst. It's not the best either. I'll go with the 12. Let's just see. Okay, let's try to fill the mid price. Probably will not fill, and let's just see what happens. Oh, it did fill. Okay. So might have sold myself a little short on that one. But in any case, if I'm collecting a quarter of this per week, that's about 22, and that's about 2% a week. So happy with that. Let's just double check and see. I already peeled off some of these long calls. I like that my, calculated buying power is pretty close to my account value. That means I'm not using very much margin, at least according to Robinhood's calculations. All right, so I got a weekly CLSK. I've got a 42 DTE CLSK. I've got 200 shares, so those are both covered. I've got 600 shares of Riot, and I've got 6 covered calls out to 42 days. I peeled off 3 of these. Now this Tesla long call, I paid 85 for it. So do I basically 2.5x my money and dump this? Or do I just see if Tesla wants to run? It's my only contract, so I'd basically be not long Tesla at all in this account. Keeping one around isn't going to hurt me any. Let's just look and see what it's doing. So if this can, if Tesla can clear 260, it's kind of off to the races. So, yeah, I'll hold on to this. I'll hold on to this. Let's see, what's the expiration date on it though? February. Yeah, so I gotta decide on this same time as MicroStrategy, sometime in November. So yeah, I'll watch this all the way through October and see what happens. All right, that's the last of it, and talk to you next time. Be good, Joe.